think it should be second nature to a Scotsman to emigrate by now. But it feels strange, especially when you've been used to looking at Glasgow all your life. Although Melbourne looked prosperous enough on first impressions, as I drove through the city later, I wondered about the future and whether I could make a place for myself here. Well, 2 months later, I'd settled into a good job with an engineering firm and made a few friends. But still, I missed my family. I had grown to like Melbourne, but I was keen to see more of Australia. Whether it was this or just plain homesickness which made me restless, I don't know. But I decided to give up my job and go on a trip with an Australian friend. He's a bit of a character, so I think we should get on well together.
Well, she's ready to go.
Ready to go where?
Anywhere you like. Round Australia.
Oh, I don't think it'll get around the block.
Well, you're an engineer, aren't you?
I'll go on condition that if anything goes wrong, you'll fix it. But I still don't think it'll make it.
Well, what do you think needs to be done with it?
Well, the least you could do is to paint it. The car seemed to be going well, so we headed for the mountains. The scenery tends to be monotonous sometimes, but you never know what to expect next in this country. Funny, but we didn't see many animals on the road.
Steady now, steady.
In the heart of the Great Dividing Range, we came across the A1 mine, which is said by the locals to date back to the gold rush days. They're mining now at a depth of over 2,000 feet, roughly about sea level. That's a long drop, so it's just as well we didn't get too far in. We decided to try our fortune with some panning, but the only reward was seeing a spiny anteater, the first I'd seen in the flesh, so to speak. Later, the mountain roads were taking their toll on the car, but it wasn't really serious. Around a lot, and fortunately both believed in the same theory that you can't get to know a country properly without seeing the insides of the pubs. After seeing beaches like Portsea, it's easy to understand Australians being sun and surf lovers. But there are other places along the coastline that aren't so inviting. The inevitable happened while we were still in Victoria, in a fruit-growing area about 100 miles due north of Melbourne. We got all the local background from the truck driver. An irrigation system from Eildon Weir supplies water to 21,000 acres of orchards along the Goulburn Valley. The district where we were, Ardmona, grows peaches, pears and apricots. Some of the first trees were planted here by settlers from the UK in the 1880s. A cooperative formed in the 20s now operates a cannery which processes fruit from 12,000 acres of orchards. Peter wanted to get rid of the car and hitchhike home to Melbourne, so I decided to apply for a job in the cannery at Mooroopna. I was given a job on the engineering staff. The cannery employs about 1,300 people during the season from all over Australia. About 12% are immigrants like myself, but the majority of them are girls.
It's the first time I've worked in a cannery. It's good fun because you meet such a lot of different people. And the money's good too. My job is to collect samples from each production line for testing in the laboratory. It's called quality control, and both the fruit and syrup undergo every test imaginable. After the cans go through the syruper, they're quite hot, but they're not normally handled, for they go by conveyor to a machine which seals them. They continue their journey straight to the automatic cookers. The fruit's tested after it's been cooked too. In fact, quality control continues all along the line, from the moment the fruit comes into the factory from the orchards. Pears are loaded onto the grading machine to be sorted out according to size. Misshapen fruit is taken out and the rest graded into 9 sizes by a series of diverging conveyor belts.
There are 60 of these automatic pear peelers, and it's my job to look after them, along with a dozen other chaps, to make sure they're clean and operating efficiently. With so many moving parts to look after, the girls sometimes pick up a fault before we do. I know what to look for. A small rubber belt which drives one of the peeler blades is probably broken or dislodged. When you consider that these machines have to core, peel, and halve about 184 million pears during the season, it's no wonder that mechanical adjustments are needed.
I'm continuously taking samples. I've lost count how many times a day I do a complete round of the factory. Those pear peelers keep a lot of girls busy. In fact, so busy that the factory works 2 shifts. Not the same girls, of course. Imagine having to do your whole year's work in 3 months, and you'll get some idea of the pressure. If any faulty or speckled fruit was missed before, it's sure to be picked up here. For the good fruit, it's definitely a one-way trip. Any fruit considered too large for canning in halves or slices is diced and used in fruit cocktail, which also has grapes, pineapple and maraschino cherries.
Lunchtime is important because the work gets pretty tiring. I found the canteen is good and that nearly everyone congregates here.
The factory works a 6-day week, so it's good to have something planned for Sundays. Since I've been here, I've done all the usual things you can do in a country town: walking, riding, even fishing. But I hardly expected to be invited for the first time in my life to go sailing.
The factory uses about 60 million cans in a season. They're all made here and they're automatically tested before they go into the lines. Any rejects are given another pressure test underwater so that the fault can be traced and rectified.
Peaches come later in the season. Last, but not least. At peak production, over 1 million cans of fruit are processed in one day. When you've seen the machines, you know why. Quality control is just as rigid here. On the way to the peelers, the fruit is inspected and turned upright before passing through a carefully controlled caustic soda spray, light enough to remove the skin without damaging the fruit. Out of the peelers, it's washed and checked again. We girls often try to imagine what the housewife who eventually buys the fruit will be like, what nationality she'll be, how many children she'll have in her family. It's an interesting game because we know the fruit is good and that it could go anywhere in the world. To keep in the natural flavour, it must be cooked properly. If not, all the care which has gone into its preparation so far would be wasted.
They say men make the best cooks. Well, I can't really claim anything for myself because it's all being controlled electronically. But even if I were the cook, I couldn't handle 400 pounds of fruit a minute throughout 2 shifts a day, which is what the machine does. Now comes the problem of storage. One of the permanent employees here invented and patented this idea for stacking the full cans onto pallets using rubber suction cups. same thing in reverse using magnets. The shiny cans are moved out to the labelling department as they are needed. Underweight cans are rejected by an electronic eye. The fruit is finally packed and stacked in pallets ready for shipping. There's a sense of regret as the season comes to an end, but it's mixed with an air of excitement. Soon, most of these people will leave Ardmona and return to their homes all over Australia. Many will come back next year, for they earn their living as itinerant workers. Many, like myself, will never return. The feeling of restlessness has gone, and I can think of the future now with a greater sense of freedom. Whether I take an engineering job in a city factory, or with a mining outfit almost anywhere on the continent, the future now seems to be entirely up to me. And after all, what more could any young man ask for?